Well, good morning. This is Keith Minion Studio in Stanton, Virginia, currently in my living room. I've got another birthday coming up. Grandson Jake Timothy. He's turning 6 next month. And I thought, since his sister, Madison Joyce, got a little watercolor painting to celebrate, I thought I'd do the same for him. Jake is in kindergarten. He just got off his first official soccer season. Enjoyed the heck out of it. So I'm thinking maybe Jake dressed in his soccer duds with the number 6 as his team number. So let's see what we can do here. I'm only going to be making maybe something that size. So maybe his foot is sitting on that. Is sitting on a ball. Let's see, how does the hand go? I think that should do it. Okay, and this is just a sketch. I'm going to be refining it and tracing it before I commit it to watercolor. Jake's hair kind of goes like that, so I want to get that right. This is the most important part of the drawing. The little face. So once I get that down, the rest should just fall into place down below. Shouldn't be a problem. I don't know if you noticed, but I began this drawing with what is technically called a gesture drawing. You just quickly sketch in things just to get really broad forms, basic locations of things, nothing specific. That's so you don't end up ending up with a big head and a little body and a long arm and a short leg, Gesture drawing is also a great way if you're into drawing at all to just loosen up. It's kind of like a stretching exercise. Again, this is just a sketch. When I trace it, I will tweak it. But at least this just gets the entire little boy on the page. The last thing you want to do, and I learned this when I was, young, or junior high, when you finally got, it was junior high when I was a kid, now they call it middle school, but 7th, 8th grade, where you actually had a separate art class, like it's art, music, gym, social studies, the usual. It just wasn't all mixed in with the general stuff, where this little art teacher would come into your elementary school classroom with art on a cart, and you just do, whatever. And so I there were things that these art teachers, the junior high school art teachers, would explain, and it was like, oh wow, yeah, of course. I never thought of that, that kind of stuff. And I was able to just absorb all of that and build on it. I think we got something here. Something I could work with anyway. Always sign your work. Even this stuff. Okay, let's see if I can do this without bumping the camera. I have a little sheet of cheap paper over this on my little light board. I'm just going to trace this over to just get a fresh drawing, which I can then still fill with. Notice I'm doing it sideways. That gives my brain a fresh outlook on this. I'm not looking at it from the same orientation that I drew it in. It's kind of like one of the trick artists use is to put their work in progress up against a mirror, and suddenly your brain sees obviously a mirror image of the original, and it's like, whoa, well, that's wrong, you know. It's just a great little check. I asked my son what Jake's soccer uniform was, and he laid it all out and took a picture of it and sent it to me. It turns out it's bright orange with black trim. These lines on the watercolor will be done in ink, just like the one I did for Miss Maddie. Nothing too complicated. That line may change. I don't like that line. We'll see. And behind the camera, my I Draw Circles cheat sheet. That's a good size. There we go. I think that'll work out great. Okay, this is the back of that piece that I just traced from the original drawing in the sketchbook. Flipped it over, taped it to this, which is a sheet of 140-pound Arches hot pressed. Hot pressed means it's a very smooth surface, which is what I want. Cold pressed, which is the other kind you can get, has more of that rough surface, which is really great for doing outdoor landscape type things, flowers, all that kind of stuff. But this is what I want for here. And believe me, if you can afford Arches, please use it. It's just always a dream. Okay, so the plan now will be to trace this very lightly. Just barely dragging this pencil across the watercolor paper because I don't want to make a furrow. In the paper itself, which the watercolor will just pick right up, the watercolor paint. And after I finish tracing this in with this number B pencil, I am going to take my kneadable eraser and lighten it up again, just so that it's just a little bit of a ghost. All I need to guide my brush or my pen. Most of these lines that I'm doing here are going to be inked. I could have gone with a 5-fingered hand, but what the heck. When I used to teach adult ed drawing class to a bunch of grown-ups at the local elementary school when I lived up in Pennsylvania, I always used to tell the story, the Michelangelo story, about how everybody, when they draw their first line, is drawing exactly what someone like Michelangelo would have drawn. Second line, maybe. But by the third line, that's when you realized he's Michelangelo and I'm me. Now, if you think I'm going to hand draw that circle, hate to disappoint you. I have the tool. I'm using the tool. We're going to do background first, of course. What I'm going to be going for is a sort of a blurry background, feathered edge here. This is just going to be grass when I apply the paint, but right now I'm just getting the water onto the paper just to dampen it up. Let's see what we get now. This is always, with watercolor, I don't know if it's a rule, but I like to go from the background to the foreground. So I'm doing this background first. Let's keep that going. Got my drawing board at a slight angle. See, now there, lost it, so I'm gonna add some water to get the feathering going on. There's a little weirdness over there. Let's see if we can fix that. That's what I love about arches. See, and I just squeezed out the water. This is like my watercolor eraser. I squeeze it out, I wipe it on my pants. It's just watercolor. Now what you have to do is you have to leave well enough alone. When you're done, don't fiddle with it. Now I'm doing the background of the sky. I know on my palette, because it's always on my palette, is some French ultramarine blue, which is my favorite blue. I'm pivoting everything on my pinky. I don't know if you can see it. Coming at it from both sides here. Too much water here. Right now I'm sucking the water up with a dry brush. In fact, let me put that there. This is a Konar rapidograph. Rapido sketch. 0. Probably should be a number 1, but I don't have a number 1, so we'll go with this. Sometimes I will just do it more sketchy and I'll get a thicker line. That may happen here if I make a mistake. Where I have to use a thicker line to hide something. But we'll see. That could have been done better. I can do this now because once this ink dries, it's waterproof. so you can paint over it. It's much easier to draw by dragging it towards me than it is pushing it forward. That's the same with any kind of drawing, with any type of instrument, I think. Now please, somebody remind me, don't ink in the 6. The 6 is just going to be white on orange with no ink. And that's where I stop that. I stop that where that cross line is, because this line, I think I mentioned it in an earlier clip, just becomes the thumb, which I thought was so cool. That's one of the challenges of drawing with these pens, is if you stop and then have to start again, you have to try to make that seamless, like there was no stop there, if that's the style of line you're after. Hey look, I didn't do the 6. Hooray! Not over yet. Okay, the ball. So I'm going to take a minute to show you my watercolor palette. This is basically a porcelain butcher pan that I got in an art supply store in New Paltz, New York, called Manny's Lounge, in my sophomore year when I transferred there. We're talking 1974, so I've used this ever since. I rarely clean it. In fact, I think I might be up to the point where I might need to spruce this up a bit. You know, but still plenty of alizarin crimson there, and raw umber there, and Payne's gray there, and ultramarine blue there, and I think that's Viridian green. Yellow's gone. The next color I'm going to mix up here is going to be a flesh tone for the watercolor that I'm doing right over there. I think, yeah, it's a little bit off camera. Anyway, going to do that here, where I've got a little bit of the red and the raw umber. Somewhere in here will be a flesh tone for Jake. All I have to worry about here is getting color in the eyes, so let's not do that. Okay, I think I'm going to add a shadow underneath Jake, underneath the ball and underneath him. Not back that way, it's more like a straight down. Okay, shadow on green, watercolor green, completely different than acrylic or oil painting. If I was going to paint that shadow in acrylic or oil, I would probably take that original green and I would mix a little red into it, maybe a little blue. You always want to do color wheel opposites in order to get shade on a color. And but with watercolor, that would be terrible. I'd end up with this brown blob, and I go, "What the heck is that?" No, all I need to do is just add a little blue to the green. That's already on the palette, and the blue and the green are side by side, so they're very easy to mix between them. It's probably going to be rough edged. Just kind of like that. It's a little light. I may do that over. A little darker. Okay, it's time to mix up some orange. I don't really want to use alizarin crimson. That seems that's just a little bit too cold of a red pigment. So I'm going to add some, what do they call this? Cadmium red hue from Winsor and Newton. Nice warm red. It's almost orangey red all on its own. And I need to replace this yellow anyway. What I normally put here is what I'm going to put here again, which is Shiva Cadmium Yellow Light. Time for the black, but this is not going to be a dark black. It's more like a gray. It's actually its name. This is Payne's Gray, which is a mixture of, in this case, ivory black, which is a real black, and ultramarine blue. That's why you see a sort of a bluish tinge to it. Okay, we're almost done here. I still need to make the shadows, the curvy part of the skin a little bit darker. That's good. That's good. But that's not enough. Definitely not enough there. And it's like I didn't even do anything there. I still have to decide on what to do about the sneakers. I think I'm going to get a hold of my son and my daughter-in-law and find out what would be a good way to do the sneakers, because it's Jake, so it's got to be Jake's sneakers. And the soccer ball, right now it's just a blank white ball. I'm going to have to do some sort of a colorful pattern to the soccer ball. But other than that, we're done. Just a matter of cutting a mat. I might actually make a frame. I've got time. I'll actually make a frame for Jake. I just need to find a piece of glass that would be the proper size. I think I've already got one, but we'll see. Something like an 8.5 by 11 or 9 by 12, something like that. I checked with Jake's parents and found out that his favorite pair of sneakers is a pair of Adidas that are like a gray mesh with a white sole and a big red Velcro strap along the top. So that's what we're doing. Already did the gray, and that's already dry, so dry enough. I think for the ball, I've already sketched out some designs on it which I think I'm going to do in blue. Kind of like... kind of like that. There we go. Obviously, I made a mat, cut a mat. The actual mat itself is too big. It's going to be trimmed down to fit an 11 by 17 size so that we all match the size of the glass. It always has to match the glass. Anyway, there's still plenty of room here to sign it, personalize it for Jake.